What is up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Hang 10 with Quinn Kalani. We won't be hanging out much longer, but while you're here, I'm glad to have you. As always, we're in the final home stretch of the NFL season. If you've been listening to this show, you've heard ad nauseum prior to this NFL season how hopeful myself and Marco, if you listen to our other programs, myself and Marco were that we were going to have a complete and a whole NFL season. So first off, I just want to say that, fingers crossed, hopefully I'm not jinxing anything. Hopefully this isn't a little premature. But the NFL season as a whole has been tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. There's been fun, great games every week. And there's been a healthy number of surprises this season. For myself, the most welcome surprise is the resurgence of the Miami Dolphins under Tua, the big Tua, as I'm calling him. Indianapolis Colts were also a team that I thought were going to be abysmal at the beginning of this year, and they've completely subverted my expectations. And it's been an incredibly exciting season. Probably the most exciting part of this season, of course, as the president of the Sacramento Rams Club, the Sacramento chapter. The Rams season has been awesome so far. Granted, there were some hiccups, primarily being swept by the 49ers. That's neither here nor there. That's old news. Niners ain't making it to the playoffs, so why do we care? Our Rams were 9-4. We're still in first place in the division. The Seahawks won today against the Philadelphia. Who did the Seahawks play? The Seahawks played the New York Jets, and they won pretty handily. But because we do have a win over the Seahawks, that does give us the tiebreaker, and we are still currently in first place. Now, we do have a rematch in week 16, which looks to be absolutely pivotal, not only to the division, but potentially the conference. New Orleans lost today, and New Orleans was ranked, I believe, number 2 in the conference, or perhaps number 1, and it might have been the Packers number 2 in the conference. Either way, Packers 1, Saints 2, Saints 1, Packers 2. Either way, Saints lost today, which is great. And I do not know if the Packers lost, though. Packers won. So Packers maintain a lead over the Rams. But we are gaining speed. We do have the Jets coming up next. So, I don't want to speak too soon or out of turn, but that does seem like a likely victory, all things considered. But of course, as always, we need to look back before we get ahead of ourselves. We look forward. This past week's Thursday night game was your Super Bowl rematch of 4 years ago, our Los Angeles Rams versus the New England Patriots. Now, this was not the same Patriots team as their Super Bowl victory against us. No Tom Brady, no Gronk. But this is still a dynamic team, and it's one that can sneak up on you if you don't take them serious. But we did. We took them absolutely serious. And particularly our guy, the Rook, Cam Akers, who he drafted in the second round this past year, has established himself as the starting tailback for the Los Angeles Rams. I think it's rather indisputable. Last week he put up a real tremendous effort. This week he exploded onto the scene. 29 carries, 171 rushing yards, 5.9 yards a carry. 170 rushing yards. Cam Akers alone had more yards than Damian Harris and Cam Newton combined. The kid is special. The kid is tough. He runs mean. At the point of contact, he has an extra gear and extra effort to pick up that extra yard. He also has tremendous vision. When lanes closed, he showed patience, jump cut, find the open lane. We cannot mention Cam Akers without giving big shout out and big love to our offensive line. Now, we are missing Andrew Whitworth, who went down with a knee injury a little bit ago. Does look like he's ahead of his rehab schedule, so it looks like we may get Big Whit back by the playoffs, hopefully, fingers crossed. But I want to give a big shout out to Joe Noteboom, who's playing the left tackle position in his stead, who looked absolutely stellar. Our offensive line right now, this season, I think it's the best offensive line in football. Our defensive line is arguably the best defensive line in football. Our Rams are winning games in the trenches, at the line of scrimmage. It's real old school football, which has been really cool to see come from Sean McVay, who's known as the boy genius, the new age of coaching. What's really happened is we've kind of made a return to old school football. Run the ball, win the line of scrimmage, win at the point of attack. Well, we're doing that. And it's a complete team effort. I can't mention our defensive line winning at the line of scrimmage without giving a shout out to our secondary, who I think is the best secondary in football. Troy Hill, Darius Williams, Jalen Ramsey, Jordan Fuller, John Johnson III. Can't forget Taylor Rapp. He had an interception before he went down with an injury. But just an absolute stellar team effort overall. The final score was 24-3. It was nice to get some sweet revenge for that crushing Super Bowl loss, where we were just completely stifled. We talked about Cam Akers. Let's talk about Jared Goff. Jared Goff, in this game, he'd had one really bad pass that resulted in an interception. What are you going to do? If anything, you can book Jared for one duck per game. Like P.F. Chang's. Jared Goff is like P.F. Chang's. One duck per meal. 16 for 25, 137 yards, 5.5 yards per average, one touchdown, one interception. He did spread the ball around pretty efficiently. Josh Reynolds, Gerald Everett, Cam Akers, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, and Tyler Higbee all had receptions. With Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, of course, getting the bulk of those 5 apiece. Cooper bringing in a touchdown in one of those receptions. Defensively, what can we say? We were getting 4th down stops on the goal line. We are just a complete defense. Aaron Donald, 1.5 sacks. Morgan Fox, 1 sack. Leonard Floyd, half a sack. Michael Brockers, the rock of our defensive line. Been there since the St. Louis days. 2 sacks. Big day for him. 5 tackles. I also want to shout out Sebastian Joseph Day, our nose tackle. 5 tackles himself. Kenny Young, someone we had traded for last season from the Baltimore Ravens, had a career day, 8 total tackles, 1 sack, 1 interception, and took it back to the house. So want to give some major love to Kenny Young. And big love to our head coach, Sean McVay. This is a crazy stat that's being touted around. But as of right now, Sean McVay, head coach of our Los Angeles Rams, is 34-0 when leading at halftime. I'll say that again. We are 34-0 when we have the lead going into halftime. Sean McVay is a finisher. Sean McVay is paving his way to be a Hall of Fame coach. A real great coach. The Rams, so this is via ESPN, their game recap. I quote, "The Rams will have 4 consecutive winning records under Sean McVay, something the franchise has not done since the 83-86 season with Eric Dickerson and coach John Robinson. And while we haven't clinched our 3rd playoff spot, we are atop the division." Absolutely tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. I remember was it 4 or 5 years ago now when, we had moved on from Jeff Fisher, and we were looking for the new guy. And, when Sean McVay came in, it was a guy with no head coaching experience, who was a tight ends coach, who was an offensive coordinator in Washington. Washington's had its ups and downs as a franchise, certainly. But Sean McVay he's turned this franchise around, hasn't he? Him and Les Snead. Can't forget Les Snead, our general manager. There's we kind of get we had one season where we went full Los Angeles Lakers, where we went full Hollywood. Traded for Aqib Talib, traded for Marcus Peters, Ndamukong Suh. We went all in, full Hollywood, full Lakers. And, we got to the dance, but we lost. And while we were averaging over 30 points that season and we were balling out, we were the most potent offense in the league. We had the offensive player of the year in Todd Gurley and the defensive player of the year in Aaron Donald. I feel more good about this team here. I feel better about this team now than I did when we went to the Super Bowl against the Patriots. And I think it's because this team, which is consistently one of the youngest teams in the league and one of the healthiest teams in the league, has been built through the draft, predominantly speaking. Jalen Ramsey being the one outlier. And we traded for him from Jacksonville. Of course, if you know football, you know that story. But it's been a tremendous season, and I'm super excited, and I cannot wait for the rest of the games, the rest of the year to play out. Feeling really good about our chances. When you get into playoff football, when you get into late December, January football, what do they always preach wins games? Defense and the run game. And right now, we're rolling on Ram Mountain. Defensively and with the run game. So I feel good. I feel good about our chances. I like us against New Orleans. Green Bay will be difficult. Seattle is always difficult because they're an in-division rival. But hopefully we can put that to bed in week 16 in 2 weeks. In other news, while I haven't been watching a tremendous amount of television, I am fully caught up on The Mandalorian on Disney Plus, and it has been a tremendous, absolutely tremendous season. One of the complaints last year was that they felt like there were some filler episodes. I didn't get that vibe. I love every bit of it. I love that the world expands with every episode. This past episode was also tremendous. While it didn't have the same effect as, Boba Fett, Tamora Morrison, the OG, the lead horse, getting that OG Polynesian representation in film, as Tay Morrison returns to play Boba Fett as he played Jango in the prequel trilogy. I mean, that's something that's hard to beat. Hard to beat Boba Fett flying down on Slave 1 and wrecking shop against some stormtroopers. That's hard to beat. But I do feel like this past episode was very, very good in a really nuanced sort of way. It didn't have those big character reveals, didn't have those big moments. But what it did have was a absolutely stellar performance from Bill Burr. Comedian Bill Burr. Coming off the bench, one episode a season and draining the game-winning shot like Steve Kerr. Bill Burr. Let me tell you, that scene in the mess hall with the Imperial officer played by the guy who always plays a bad guy, where they're reminiscing on a battle where stormtroopers were needlessly slaughtered. Pretty much led into a slaughter by their officers, by this particular officer. Bill Burr's character, who's an Imperial sharpshooter by the name of Mayfield, survived and carries with him a resentment and a guilt and an edge. And Bill Burr plays that masterfully. Plays it with the right amount of nuance. with the right amount of tension and restraint. For when the moment comes, when Mayfield's had enough and he just pulls out his blaster and shoots this motherfucker in the face, then it hits. It hits hard. Salute to Bill Burr, man. Salute to Bill Burr. If you would have told me that one of the best performances in the Star Wars canon would be from Bill Burr, I would not have believed you. But believe it now. Bill Burr will forever live in the Star Wars canon as one of its best actors and characters. Long live Bill Burr. Long live the Mandalorian. And if you paid attention to the Disney investor meeting, Mando and company will be here to stay for quite some time. That's pretty much it for you guys. That's pretty much all I got. I am working on some stuff here as we get into the final episodes. Not like overly impressive things, but just a bit more concrete content for you guys. As always, you can follow me at Quintessential39 on Instagram. You can follow Marco, our own lead horse of this channel, at Marco_AVACADO on Instagram. That's Marco Avocado _avocado. You can follow the Closers Podcast on Instagram at the Closers Podcast. We got a new episode coming out this Wednesday with our perennial guest and our autumn favorite, Gabby the Goose, talking about the education system, talking about the benefits of having dual monitors. We also do a little reflection and introspection into death. It's an interesting conversation. It's pretty much a variety pod with a friend. I highly encourage it. That will be out on Wednesday. And then, as always, Friday, Marco is there to close out your week with Closing Out the Week. You can follow the Closers Podcast on Facebook at Closers Podcast. And, of course, if you head over to the Closers Podcast Instagram channel, there, we'll have a link tree for all our content. So, as always, you guys stay safe, stay smart, and God bless. I shall see you guys around the corner.